Hello and welcome to World Talks, where every word matters. I'm Anna Kalczyńska. Good morning. How much higher national spending is enough to strengthen Europe's defense? The EU leaders met in Brussels to bolster the bloc's military capabilities, but the move has been put on hold. With snap elections in Germany coming, the expected decision from the biggest financial contributor to the EU budget must wait. Joining me now is Jacek Raubo, Director of Defense 24 Analyse Unit. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
So a new defense spending pledge from NATO countries will be considerably higher than 2% of GDP, with the figure to be decided later this year. That said Secretary General Mark Rutte. So the Europeans, as we understand, will spend more. And how much more, that remains to be seen. So what is your expectation? Would it be the lead of France, which decided recently to double its defense spending?
I think we need to overthrow this standard dedicated to only GDP and the percents. I think when we are looking on the European situation right now, we need to focus more on how we are spending our money. So, of course, this debate inside NATO, mostly inside the European side of NATO, is very necessary because we have Donald Trump administration and they are watching this very widely. But on the other hand, we need to focus more and we need to work more how we are doing our own armaments here. Why? We have three different layers. First, we need to have our own capabilities. I'm not talking about a single project like, I don't know, European autonomy, strategic autonomy or something else. I'm talking about the real and existing things dedicated to defense and deterrence policy inside our environment with United States, but sometimes also without strong American support when we will have some actions, for instance, dedicated to strengthen our partners inside the Mediterranean Sea region, etc. On the other hand, there is a second layer, how we are strengthening our own armed forces. And here there is a division. We need to move something which is happening right now because of the war in Ukraine, because of the constant threat from Russia. On the other hand, we need to modernize armed forces in the context of the future warfare. So we need to spend more. We need to spend more, but with our effective policy, which is connecting this quantity and quality factors. And
Absolutely.
And the last thing I need to emphasize, I think much more stronger than before, we need to think about spending some money and leaving this money inside our own industry, research and development institutions. So I think we need to stop thinking about the percents. We need to start thinking how we are spending our money.
All right, what to do with the money, it's a very important question. We will get back to that in a moment. But what to do about the more frugal countries, such as Spain, for instance, those who do not wish or do not see the necessity of spending? How to convince them?
Thank you for this question, because it's very important to underline the role of Mark Rutte and also other secretary generals. I think NATO is a great field to achieve some consensus over very difficult cases. That's why we are deciding to put very important and very effective politicians and also leaders as a secretary generals. And I think we are able to achieve this kind of a goals with Spain, with Belgium, with other states, where we are having a large number of discussions about money dedicated to strengthen military forces in their own states. So I'm optimistic in that. But on the other hand, I think it will be a very difficult task also for the single nations like Poland, like Baltic states, like Romania, to emphasize the role of modern armed forces in this common defense and deterrence policy. That's why we need to look more on the southern situation with their, for instance, Spanish interest in a situation in Mediterranean Sea. I see and I'm able to understand their roles. But on the other hand, I think we are able to define our own aims with them because also Spaniards are serving alongside other forces with NATO battle groups. So they are taking some lessons learned from Eastern flank. So right now, this is the work for the diplomats. This is the work for some background debates and discussions. Of course, in the end, we will see the decision made by the independent states, independent societies, and nations. So, of course, we need to wait for that.
All right, so Poland is one of the leading countries in this respect in terms of defense spending, with 4.7% of its GDP this year, according to President Andrzej Duda. But I suggest now we take a lesson from Minister of Defense, Władysław Kośniak-Kamysz, who tells us about where this money is being allocated.
We are spending on exercises, on training, on preparation and on operational capabilities. The size of the Polish army is increasing. As the President said, we have surpassed 200,000. The state at the beginning of January is 206,000 soldiers.
So 200,000 soldiers now, presently, and 350 by the end of next year. So where should the focus be, according to you, in terms of allocating the budget? Increasing the troops, or rather modernizing the equipment that already exists? Or, as you just pointed out, investing in research and development?
With our position as a key leader of Eastern flank, we have no chances to escape from all of them. All of the direction need to be fulfilled by accumulation of some of parts of our budget, military budget, and also scientific budget. Why? First of all, we need to have a very strong deterrence forces right now, right here, because Russia is not surrendering. Russia is not abandoning this plan to stress not only Poland, but also our allies, our close allies like Baltic states. So we need to invest and we need to modernize simultaneously our armed forces. I know that is a very difficult task, not only for the MOD, but also from the whole state institutions. But I see that we fully understand that transformation need to be the core of modernization. We need to emphasize the role of, for instance, new commanding structures like the transformation command, because we need to have a doctrinal background, we need to have lessons learned implemented in our own forces from our partners. I'm talking about implementation of some of lessons learned coming from US or other NATO members, but also from our close neighbor Ukraine. They get a lot of interesting things from their own battlefields. But on the other hand, we need to create this on our own soil with our own way of war fighting. So, of course, we need to have a quality and quantity balance inside the armed forces. I know this is a very difficult task, and I will emphasize this again and again. It is important to have more troops. We know that very well from the comparing the situation right now with the past in NATO. But on the other hand, we need to have some sophisticated, sometimes very sophisticated technologies like UAVs, combat UAVs, like cyber tools. Cyber warfare is very important when we see the role of this domain in the modern combat. So we are not able to abandon any of directions you described before.
All right, and what are the lessons learned from the war in Ukraine, for Poland specifically?
And it's great that you used this term lessons learned, because this is not the copy-paste situation. We are in NATO. We have a much better, for instance, Air Force capabilities when we compare that with the Ukraine forces and their struggles with Russia. On the other hand, we need to see some of types of, maybe not a revolution, but evolution of modern combat. So I'm very grateful that the Chief of Staff is right now emphasizing the role of UAV, and not only from the strategic operational perspective, but also when we think about the tactical issues, counter-drone warfare, that might be the key element for strengthening our own capabilities, and this is giving us a security for sometimes a very costly equipment like air defense or missile defense systems, or even airplanes and airfields. So counter-drone, so drone warfare, we see also investments in building the single soldier capabilities, because we are not able to forget that the key element is infantry, still infantry and artillery. So we need to invest in training, we need to invest in single soldier equipment, in C4 communication, control, command communication, and computers capabilities. We need to invest in ISAR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and target acquisition capabilities. So there is a lot of many things we need to have in our own way of thinking about the modernization. And I think that the modern MOD and also Chief of Staff and other commands are watching this carefully, building this doctrinal background for that. We need to also underline that without the doctrinal background, we can purchase a lot of effective equipment, but there will be no chance to implement this in the real combat. So I think we are taking some lessons learned, but we are not copy-paste some warfare coming from Ukraine.
All right, and now let me turn to the initiative on the part of U.S. in the peace process between Russia and Ukraine. Keith Kellogg, U.S. Special Envoy to Kiev and to Moscow, according to Bloomberg, is set to start peace talks with European allies in this respect. So it looks like a proper overture. But who actually picks up the phone in Europe in terms of peace talks? Who is he going to be talking with?
First thing, when we are watching this wave of leaks to the media about the potential peace plans and some agreements structure, we need to be very patient and we need to be very careful. First thing, very careful with that. Why? Because this is a normal tool for the diplomats, for intelligence services, to make the better ground for the practical side of negotiations. So I'm approaching to this maybe not with the skepticism, because I think we will see some elements of, for instance, American plan in maybe this speech in the Munich Security Conference. But on the other hand, I think some main and some core of that discussions are behind the doors. But when we think about the role of Europe, we need to emphasize the role of course, France. I think they are playing a really important role in the context of situation in Ukraine, in this war in Ukraine. Of course, this illegal aggression from Russia moved a lot of states from inside Europe to be the part of this military assistance to Ukraine. But on the other hand, I think France is the key element with nuclear weapons. United Kingdom, of course, Germany, but here I have a lot of question marks because of the further elections, and we need to wait, I think, more to see how the German Republic will create this new government and how they would like to play this key role in the negotiations with US and with other partners. So this is a very visible situation. Of course, Poland, of course, Romania, because Poland and Romania, they are the pillars of the eastern flank. So United States is not need one phone, I think. They need to have a synergy of European allies, like they did with the creation of the Ramstein Group, which provide military assistance to Ukraine from the beginning of this illegal Russian aggression against Ukraine.
Apparently, next week is going to bring some first answers. Thank you so much for this meeting and for your expertise. Jacek Raubo, Defense 24, was our guest this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for watching. This concludes this edition of World Talks, but please stay with us here on TVP World for more news and more interviews.